Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Greg Capullo Day. We are taking a look at his Quasar issue number 38, cover dated September 1992. This would have been during the Infinity War, so this is an Infinity War crossover. If you are familiar with Infinity War and Infinity Gauntlet, you'll be familiar with some of the characters appearing on this cover. Thanos, Drax the Destroyer, Adam Warlock, all characters that kind of came to prominence in the 90s, at least for me, during those crossover events. So that's why these characters will be featured in this issue of Quasar. Starting off with the cover, looks pretty cool to me. Very dynamic, lots of movement, up close characters, middle ground characters, characters in the background. Everyone's moving, everyone's doing something action packed in a funny kind of way, not denigrating the cover at all, but it almost feels a little bit more dashed out and done quicker than some of the art on the inside. But again, not any kind of a knock on the art here. I think it looks pretty good and the cover moves really well. And Greg Capullo, as I mentioned, the past few issues has really come into his own with the art on this series. So it's a joy to go through. Not so much to read, as I said, not that interested in the storyline here, but mostly interested in looking at Capullo's art and its evolution. Bad bit of coloring just down here, though, that makes the Hulk look a little weird, is the interior bottom part of his teeth being colored green instead of white. And let's have a look inside, guys. Starts off with a pretty cool looking splash page. I've talked about before about Greg Capullo's design sense, and it's fully on display here, using all the shapes in the negative space to evoke something pretty darn cool and cosmic in this case. And these characters appeared last issue and are here again. Mark Grunwald, writer, Greg Capullo, penciler supreme, they say, Harry Candelario, inker, Janice Chang, letterer, and Paul Becton, colorist. I complained a lot about the colors early on in Greg Capullo's run on the series, but now I feel like everyone's kind of working together in synergy. The layouts are more interesting than they were originally. I think Capullo's getting a lot more leeway in as far as that stuff. I love here the negative space with all the characters, but some of their elements overlapping the other panels, like here and the head back here. All the cosmic beings here are looking pretty darn cool. It's a down shot, so again, hard to do for me. So I always respect artists who are good at it. Capullo, one of those guys who, you know, at least at this point now, can draw characters from any which angle, and they always look awesome. And he's really kind of, you know, the hair is a bit much in very early 90s, but he's really kind of locked in on Quasar's look. A few issues ago, I said he kind of looked feminine. I think maybe he picked up on that, and now at this point, we don't have that issue much anymore. Looking pretty masculine to me. Love some of the kind of shorthand he uses as well for like Quasar coming down to Earth, the actual, you know, symbol of Quasar, or his logo that's on his chest. That looks pretty cool there. And basically coming down to Avengers Tower, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what it's called? I don't know. Avengers Headquarters, I guess. And meeting up with Captain America. And then boom, love this page because once again we get a really cool down shot introducing us to all the major players of Infinity War at that time during the crossover. And what's funny too is that you know, for the original Infinity Gauntlet crossover, the X-Men characters were barred from appearing, apart from, I think, Wolverine as kind of, I guess he was considered a solo character. He had his own book and stuff. But then because of the huge success of Infinity Gauntlet, when Infinity War rolled around, the editorial office, the X-Men office, was more than willing to have the X-Men characters now appear. And this is just a good example, I feel, of, you know, again, the level of mastery and in layout and composition that Greg Capullo's already kind of hit at this point. We've seen similar shots in past issues that aren't quite as successful, but I feel like here everything's really working together now. The angle, the rendering, you know, the slightly West Coast looking inking, but that he's really starting to make his own and interpret it in a different way. Kind of like Joe Quesada on yesterday's Ninjak review. There's something about these artists who incorporated those things and instead of just copying them, right? Some people copied it, some people integrated it into what they were doing and made it look even better, really. You know, because guys like Joe Quesada and Greg Capullo have, I feel like they have better fundamentals of angles and composition and anatomy than a lot of the actual Image founding fathers. It's just they weren't there first with that flashy style, right? I mean, even this upshot of this girl here, I mean, just not an easy angle to get. A 3/4 upshot like that, it's hard to get all your lines right. and to create a convincing kind of face, and he's just masterful at it here. Looks great. Doing a thing again, I think looks better than what he did in the past. Like this panel to me here, it looks no different than anything he's doing today in modern times, say on his Wolverine stuff or when he was on Batman or whatever, except for the inking itself. Everything else, he's already fully formed here. Bit of TNA, I guess, here going on. And this is our B story with these two ladies. So they've encountered some sort of cosmic being here, some sort of odd world. Not quite sure what's going on with that storyline. Not too worried about it either. And then boom, we get another double page splash, but not a full one because it's still got two panels. Looks really cool. The ship designs here work really well. The silhouette with the lines, segmented lines breaking the form apart looks really good. Any solid sci-fi movie would love to have ships designed this way. And just a cool action shot of all our characters now coming in to confront I guess the guys you could call the cosmic heroes at this point, but Thanos is within their ranks, and if I remember correctly, that's because they're facing off against the Magus, right, who we'll see later on this issue. So unfortunately, they've had to team up with their enemy to fight a greater enemy, right? Kind of a tried and true trope from forever. Great shot. And again, I'll talk about the coloring, which I think looks really cool. The yellow's always been kind of a strong color with Quasar and used a lot. Used to great effect here. His Wolverine still looks a little odd to me. I don't know what it is. I think we're going to see him. I don't know if I have those Executioner song issues that he draws, but in X-Force we might see Wolverine. Anyways, you've seen his modern Wolverine when I did the Wolverine Revenge series, so it looks great there. So still trying to figure out Wolverine, I guess. Cyclops looks pretty solid, though. So, of course, we're going to have a battle between the two groups of heroes, right? That's how it always goes. Again, these masterful down shots that he's doing here. And here's one where everyone's in action. Just amazing to me. A little bit of John Romita Jr. there, kind of in that angle, in that face, I find. And over here, I can almost see, like, later on, Ron Garney on Captain America there in the mid to late 90s, right before Rob Liefeld jumped on, was doing something kind of similar like this, aesthetic-wise. I have that somewhere. I'll have to review that at some point. It's a pretty good storyline. I have the trade. So again, a cool shot of our cosmic gang of heroes other than Thanos. I just thought it was kind of weird that Thanos' head is quite more inflated and dome-like than it usually is here. That's kind of just a weird part of the art there. Gamora, though, her position is just very fierce like that. This is kind of a cool idea, seeing Quasar go a little bit 90s extreme with some shoulder pads, spikes, and Kalibak's attack stick. If you know who Kalibak is from the New Gods, very similar. This I thought was funny, where Thanos is, gonna have Hulk and Thing butt heads, but Quasar kind of intervenes and says, right after I saved the Thing and Hulk from Thanos's Mo Howard routine. So I don't even know in 1992 if kids reading comics would know who Mo Howard was, but the writer clearly does. He's an older guy, so he's thrown that in there. And basically, just how funny to me it is that Quasar's creating like a force cushion or force pillows so they don't bang their heads together. So what I like about these two pages here is just the raw energy of both of them, right? Just as abstract drawings and the angles and lines kind of going all over the place, I think work really well, and the extreme angles that he uses. I love these extreme angles with the crops that he does, that he's been doing all the way throughout Quasar, that work really well. These close-up crops, once again, pretty darn close towards the action of Adam Warlock punching him in the face and the helmet kind of materializing there to save him. And another shot, and even the armor design to me, once again, is very reminiscent of John Romita Jr. and how he does things. And this is just a cool shot of Quasar and Adam Warlock kind of facing off there. Yeah, he's just... every panel is just an extreme crop, but so well done and just exactly what we need in it. The use of silhouette here works really well, I think. And of course, finally, the Magus appears, and what we see here is him trying to form dark versions of the superheroes that are going to terrorize Earth. Now, in Infinity War, I don't know at the point at which Greg Capullo drew these pages. I feel like he was only told to draw, evil looking doppelgangers of, you know, Wolverine, Captain America. I assume that's Iron Man and Spider-Man, but maybe their final designs hadn't been finalized yet by the artists on Infinity War or whoever designed those doppelgangers that you can see during that crossover. So, you know, what he's doing here is just keeping it mostly in silhouette and doing kind of his own version of these demonic evil versions of the superheroes. Because I know for Spider-Man, I think doppelganger did have a mouth, but he had like 6 arms, right? And you don't see that here. So you know, I feel like Greg Capullo's just left to his own to do his own version of those dark doppelgangers, which work pretty well, I think, overall. And just design-wise on the splash page are really cool. The screen tone that they've been using a lot throughout the last few issues works really well here. What a bold silhouette, and, you know, the balls to just do that. I will say this eye seems at a weird angle, but, you know, I don't feel like he's in any way cheaping out on the art, so I'll definitely allow him to do that here for effect, and I think that works really well. And not much more to say here as the book ends. I do sometimes, again, I'll just point out that I feel that this is somewhat reminiscent of the Kubert brothers. So someone else that I feel that Greg Capullo's art is akin to theirs to a certain extent, at least in the early 90s, and somewhat similar in their interpretation of that 90s hatching. So there you go. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's review of Quasar issue number 38. If you're still watching and you are subscribed, thank you so much. I really do appreciate all your support. If you're watching but you're not subscribed, please do so below. It only takes a quick second for you, and it really helps the channel out, and it helps us grow and get us out there to other people who are into comic books just like we are. So everyone, thanks again for watching. Have an awesome day.
Like, subscribe, like, subscribe.
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.